So how do you learn the difference between right and wrong at a new job? Is it something you're actually taught, or is it something you just kind of pick up along the way? Well, the answer might surprise you, and honestly, it has huge consequences for every single one of us at work. Let's break down how this really works. Okay, so here's the big problem for any company, right? You've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. How do you get them all to operate with the same set of ethical values? Because if everyone's just following their own gut, you're basically just asking for trouble.
I mean, really think about it. Your first few weeks at a new place. Yeah, sure, they give you a handbook, but how do you learn the unwritten rules? You know, the stuff that really dictates how things get done. Who do you watch to figure out what's actually okay and what's not?
Well, there's actually a term for this whole process. It's called organizational socialization. It's basically a fancy academic way of saying learning the ropes. It's how we figure out how to fit in, what's expected of us, and, how to act so we can do our jobs well. And when it comes to teaching these ropes, especially the ethical ones, companies pretty much go down one of two very different paths.
So, on one hand, you've got formal socialization. This is all the official stuff, right? The orientation meetings, the training workshops, the mandatory ethics seminars. It's structured, it's deliberate. Then, on the other hand, you've got informal socialization. This is more like learning by osmosis, just watching your boss, observing your coworkers, and figuring it all out as you go.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Which one actually works better? Is a one-day training seminar really more powerful than the example your manager sets every single day for a year? Well, a couple of researchers decided they wanted to find out.
So, two researchers, Mujtaba and Sims, came up with this really clever experiment to get a real answer. They put these two methods head-to-head in an actual real-world company. This whole thing wasn't done in some sterile lab. Nope, it took place inside a huge retail company that had 60 different stores. And that means the results have some serious real-world weight behind them. And get this, they surveyed almost 500 full-time employees. This gave them a really solid look at how people felt about ethical and, unethical behavior at work.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. They split all those people into two clear groups. 274 managers and 203 regular non-managerial employees. And this split is the absolute key to the whole study.
Here's why. At this particular company, the managers got formal, structured ethics training. Workshops, lectures, the whole shebang. But the non-managers, they got nothing. No formal ethics training at all. Their only way to learn the rules was the informal way, just by watching everyone else.
So we've got our two groups. One gets formal training, the other learns by watching. Did it actually lead to a different result? Let's take a look at what the data said.
This is really the moment of truth, isn't it? After all that, did the managers who went to the workshops actually think differently about ethics than the employees who were just left to figure it out for themselves?
And the results were pretty clear. So they rated employees on their ethical attitudes, and a higher score here means you're less okay with unethical stuff happening. The managers, the ones who got the formal training, scored a 45.31. The non-managers scored a 44.10. It might look small, but that difference was statistically significant. The training worked. The bottom line was crystal clear. Being intentional and structured about teaching ethics was measurably more effective than just crossing your fingers and hoping employees would pick up the right habits by watching others.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're looking at those numbers, 45 versus 44, and thinking, that's not a huge gap. But when we're talking about ethics, even a tiny gap can have massive real-world consequences.
Think about it. That little 1-point difference could be the gap between an employee reporting a safety violation versus just looking the other way. Or a salesperson being honest with a customer versus, stretching the truth to make a sale. When it comes to ethics, these small gaps can open up huge risks. And the researchers themselves put it perfectly. All it takes is one person making one bad decision to seriously damage a company's reputation, a reputation that might have taken decades to build. The cost of one mistake is almost always way higher than the cost of training.
So what can we all take away from this? First off, just letting people learn by watching is a gamble, not a strategy. Second, this kind of formal training shouldn't just be for the bosses, it needs to reach everybody. And finally, we have to see this kind of training not as a cost, but as an essential investment in protecting the company and, frankly, our own jobs.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Think about your own job right now.
What are the unspoken rules that you're picking up just by watching the people around you? And the really important question is, are they the right ones?